In other words, according to Mark, this unknown person, Joseph, was one of the people who had called for Jesus' death just the night before. Why is he suddenly risking himself? Bart makes this deduction only by looking at Mark's gospel, and Mark's gospel alone. He just wants to understand it only in light of this. But it just so happens that we actually have 4 gospel accounts, and one of those gospel accounts actually answers Bart's question. Luke, the historian, Luke the physician, who is only by looking at Mark's gospel, first-rate historian, I will contend, writes this about Joseph of Arimathea, chapter 23, verse 50. He was a member of the council, a good and righteous man, who had not consented to their decision and action. So we are told his vote was no. If you follow politics at all, you will know that when a Senate or the House of Representatives passes something, that doesn't mean that every individual within that chamber agreed to it being passed. Yet, you still say the Senate passed this bill, or the House of Representatives passed this bill, or Congress passed that bill. It doesn't mean that what is true of the whole is true of each part of the whole. That's the fallacy of division. You may have heard me say this before in my corporate election debate, since theologically, I think the text of Scripture teaches corporate election, and we really ought not to commit the fallacy of division on the doctrine of election. And yet, here we have Bart committing that fallacy right away with Mark's account, and Mark's account alone. Imagine if we didn't have Luke to clarify the issue for us. If we only had Mark's account, Bart would still be committing what's called the fallacy of division, in thinking that what is true of the whole is true of each part of the whole. Why should we think that it was a unanimous vote to condemn Jesus? That is an inference, a deduction Bart is making without evidence. Lo and behold, Luke clarifies Joseph did not vote to put Jesus to death.